It's America's most fraudulent school. Notre Dame has always been horse and the world got to see it yesterday. The world got to experience the whining, what are you, nuts? What are you, crazy? You didn't get snubbed, you didn't beat anybody. When it's time to lead, it's time to lead, and he didn't lead. It's that Notre Dame players will quit. They always have, they always will. Do what Notre Dame does, quit. You know, when you grow up an hour away from South Bend, as I did, people either love or hate Notre Dame. I was always in the middle. I didn't care. Look, every person that I knew that went to Notre Dame was a blockhead, goof, dork. So when I went to Dillon Hall to see a couple of my buddies, I'm like, why would you go to school here? Well, man, Bengal Bouts football team. Okay, great. But why would you go to school there? It's the worst weather ever. Football team's mediocre, despite having all the benefits. They haven't won a national championship since, 1988? I mean, really, there's nothing redeemable about it, and they're all whiners. Even the blogger boys like the fat girls. I mean, I got pictures of these blogger boys coming at me, and their girlfriends or wives are 3X handles wide. The whole place is a mess. The whole place has always been a mess. I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and I knew it was a mess. I remember the nuns telling me, Mr. Dakich, why aren't you going to Notre Dame? Why are you going to Indiana? I said, sister, number one, I want to play for Digger Phelps, and number two, you been to that place? It's horrible. Ugly girls, bad weather, meathead dudes. What are we talking about? Why would anybody go? But they got a nice football brand. And by the way, any of you idiots that think that the Notre Dame football players voted not to play in the bowl, you're out of your mind. Let me explain something to you. That brand is $1 billion brand, not because of the current players. They weren't good enough to play in the college football playoff. They didn't beat any good teams. But it is because of its history that it is worth that much. So you're telling me that you think the administration, you think the powers to be at Notre Dame put their brand into hands of transient 18 to 22-year-olds, half of whom are going to quit or transfer? Stop it. Stop being that stupid. Not a chance in hell. They may have said, look, fellas, we're going to give you your bonuses. Here's why we don't want to go. We're going to couch it as you all made this decision so you don't catch any hell. I got mommies and daddies. I got the little quarterback's mommy coming at me. I got the daddy of kid from Andre and Bowen coming out. It's the funniest shit ever. And the blogger boys are off the charts, but I feel bad for them. They're too young, and their wives are too young to be this heavy. Stop. Get athletic so I pay attention to you. But the worst is Pete Bevacqua, or whatever the hell his sorry-ass name is. So this guy's the AD at Notre Dame, and his background is he went to Notre Dame like all the greats, Charlie Weiss and others. So this guy was the head of NBC and the head of the PGA America, so he knows how to bullshit. I mean, is there a bigger pussy group than PGA of America? Seriously. I mean, let's be honest. Bunch of white dudes wearing cardigan sweaters, drinking scotch, probably sitting around dropping the N-word. But this is what I'm saying. So this guy becomes Notre Dame's new guy, a.k.a. the Charlie Weiss of administration. Now, he sent out yesterday because, apparently the coach is too thoughtful. Freeman is such a thoughtful guy, according to Daddy Bowen of Drake Bowen's daddy. He's a thoughtful guy. Yeah, okay. Pull this, it plays Jingle Bells. He is paid millions of dollars to be the face. And when it's time to lead, it's time to lead. And he didn't lead. They sent out bald-headed, which I respect, Pete Bevacqua to go whine, bitch, and moan about why Notre Dame got snubbed. What are you, nuts? What are you, crazy? You didn't get snubbed. You didn't beat anybody. As I told Drake Bowen's dad, play Purdue, Calumet. Play IU North, West if it's too hot for you to beat a good team. I mean, damn, next year's schedule's got Rice. Yeah. Purdue. Yeah, next year's schedule got 3 home games. 3. But Notre Dame, road game, excuse me. But Notre Dame, little blogger boys and fans, we're going on a generational run. Good for you. Join a conference. Get involved. You've shown yourself you're a corrupt douchebag of a university. You always have been. What are you talking about? Everything's a facade. Everything's a fraud. You're used to quitting. See Rudy. Players didn't get what they want, so they put their uniform. You guys are acting like it's in good faith. The people that wrote Rudy knew one thing. Rudy is a dick. Always has been, always will be. Google the crimes. What are you talking about? So Notre Dame has always been horse shit. And the world got to see it yesterday. The world got to experience the whining, the bitching, the moaning. As the great Chris Felica, a.k.a. Bear said, the entitlement of Notre Dame. Beat somebody like I told Drake Bowen's dad. I mean, what? That great win over Pittsburgh. You crushed the Boilers, although the Boilers scored 30-some against that deep. Just stop. Just stop. So Bevacqua, or whatever the hell his name is, he goes on, and all he does is whine. We're mad at our partners. They didn't get us in the turn. Then quit. Do what Notre Dame does. Quit. That's who you are. It's who you've always been. If Rudy showed us anything, it's that Notre Dame players will quit. They always have. They always will. Notre Dame administration will whine. They always have. They always will. Just stop. It's America's most fraudulent school, and every single person that grew up in Northwest Indiana knows it. Some love it. Some don't. Me, I never cared. I watched them play UCLA. I looked around. I said, this is the ugliest student body I've ever seen. Now, St. Louis University beat it the other day, a couple years ago. I'm like, why would you go here? Seriously. You go down to IU. Oh, man. But I guess the Golden Dome, St. Mary's College, touchdown Jesus. Yay! Hip, hip, hooray! Cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame. My ass. The only thing good about Notre Dame back in the day was a Sunday morning Lindsey Nelson in his plaid jacket would do Notre Dame highlights. That was pretty good. Because, well, frankly, there's nothing on Sunday morning. But anyway, here's Bevacqua. Beva who? Beva what? Beva huh? He's sitting there bitching, whining, and moaning. I guess it's the DP show. Our boy, DP. Here he is.
What role did the ACC play in any of this, in your opinion?
Well, I would tell you, I mean, again, I have tremendous respect for Miami. You know, great team, great school. Their athletic director, Dan Radakovich, is a good friend. And all the teams in the ACC, great, wonderful universities. We have no gripes about any of the schools in the ACC. But we were mystified by the actions of the conference to attack, you know, their biggest really business partner in football and a member of their conference in 24 of our other sports. And I would tell you, Dan, I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't say that they have certainly done permanent damage to the relationship between the conference and Notre Dame.
What do you mean?
Just we didn't appreciate the fact that we were singled out repeatedly and compared to Miami. Not by Miami. Miami has every right to do that. But it raised a lot of eyebrows here that the conference was taking shots at us. And you know, that's just not something we chose to do. We wouldn't choose to do that in the future, and people might disagree with us, but that's just not something that we'd be comfortable with. And again, we have no problem with any of these teams. These are all great teams. You know, you look at those teams, Miami, like I said, great season. They beat us. You think about Alabama, nobody's had more success in college football over the last decade than Alabama. But Dan, you know, I mean, you follow this sport so closely. Everybody was saying that we were one of a handful of teams that could win this whole thing. Yeah. And now we have 0% chance. Even Nick Saban, you know, nobody knows more about college football maybe in the history of the world than Nick Saban. You know, and he said it yesterday, like, how is Notre Dame not in this? I mean, everybody is just kind of confused and perplexed, and we don't have good answers for the kids on our team, for our student athletes.
Are you going to reevaluate your relationship with the ACC, the overall relationship?
I would just say it's been strained.
Then leave. You're Notre Dame. Do what Notre Dame does. Quit. That's what Notre Dame does. Quit. Take your ball, go home. What a childish. Everybody said we're in. Who's everybody? I saw a lot of people say it was going to come down to Notre Dame and Miami. They're mad at a TV show. Think about that. They're mad that a TV show on ESPN said they were in. It's a TV show. And this dummy is so uneducated into what's going on really in college football, or at least this is what he presents, that he didn't understand that's a TV show. So you sit there on a TV. I've been on these things, like who you think's going to get. I go, well, let's look at it logically. I would think Notre Dame is in, but it's Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama. And then they told Notre Dame, which, by the way, signed off on all these agreements, we're going to have a team from a lesser conference, the Sun Belt, James Madison. Notre Dame signed off on that. They did. They signed off on all of that. And now they're whining because they didn't get their way. It's strength. God, leave. Serious bet. Go. I mean, you can't, though, because you don't want to play the Alabamas consistently. You'll play one or two, but think about this. You think about playing Rice one week, the Naval Academy the next week, Purdue another week. It ain't like going through even a gauntlet of a Big Ten of where you're playing Michigan one week, Penn State, Illinois the other. And you get to pick and choose your schedule. And for Notre Dame being in the ACC, it's ready-made for you. You got horseshit teams that have no football history in the ACC, and you get to pick and choose who the hell you want to play because you got the TV network. So, look, Pete, do what you do. Everybody said you were in, Pete. Now, I get it. Pete did all the little stuff. Dan, you know that. No, Dan doesn't know this. Nick Saban said we were in. Really? Nick Saban in that room? Nick Saban? I don't know. He said you're in, so you're mad that you didn't get in? Hey, look, you're mad at the conference. I'll tell you this, as the great Bob Heben, street legendary bartender in Bloomington, Indiana, said, hey, play better. That's why I told Drake Bowen's dad, schedule IU in. Schedule Purdue, Calumet. I don't think they have football teams. Schedule them if it's too hot for you to play good teams and beat them. It's simple. There's nothing hard about that. So Jim Phillips, who, by the way, I have no idea how a guy that was the athletic director at Northwestern ends up a commissioner of the ACC, but he is a nice guy. University of Notre Dame is an incredibly valuable member. All right. So far, so good of the ACC. Respect, appreciation for the institution. With that said, when it comes to football, we have a responsibility, and he's right here, to support and advocate for all 17 of our football-playing member institutions. I stand behind our conference effort to do just that leading up to the College Football Playoff Committee selection. What he's saying is real. They have 17 teams. You know, no different Notre Dame, Miami, or Notre Dame saying we're special. We didn't beat anybody. We had 2 tough games, lost them both. We didn't beat anybody. But we should be in over teams that beat us. That's what, because they said so on a TV show. If you really listen to what these idiot fans of Notre Dame are saying, they're saying this. They're saying, well, ESPN used us for 2 months. So what? It's a TV show. Don't you have anybody that knows anybody? Doesn't this Pete Bevacqua know committee members? Doesn't he have the ability to find out what's really going on? Or is he just posturing because he's a former TV exec and the president of one of the biggest pussy institutions in America, the PGA of America? I wore my collar up today to be a PGA Tour of America guy. The only thing I need is a Carnegie sweater and some scotch in a private all men's white club. That's what the PGA of America is. Stop it. Just stop it. So anyway, at no time, this is Phillips, at no time was it suggested by the ACC that Notre Dame was not a worthy candidate for inclusion. We're thrilled for the University of Miami, understanding and appreciate the disappointment of the Notre Dame players, coaches, and program. And Jim, you could put in, and we fully anticipated that they would quit because that's what Notre Dame has always done. Because they're better than us. They're so much better than us that their leader has not been seen, Marcus Freeman, but he's silent. He doesn't. That's what some daddy told me. They're so much better than us that their mommy of their quarterback is on Twitter bitching, whining, and moaning at people. They ain't better than nothing. Never have been, never will be. And believe me, I'm a Catholic kid, grew up right there, studied Notre Dame basically my whole life. Went there so many times, it'd make your head spin. I remember when that crowd, that bullshit crowd at Notre Dame, in a tie game against Michigan, I believe it was the year after they won a national championship, bunch of fat East Coast black-haired, blockhead kids walking around go, fire holes! Idiots. You know a guy went to Notre Dame? In the first 2 minutes of meeting him, they tell you they went to Notre Dame because they're such insecure dweebs. Now, what did the ACC do to permanently damage Notre Dame's relationship with them? I don't know. That's not entirely clear. This past week, the ACC re-aired the Hurricanes' win over Notre Dame 13 times. Here's the ACC football account, what they posted last week. Here it is. There you go. No hypotheticals, just facts. Team A. There you go. What's the hard? I mean, it ain't hard. What are you talking about? There you go. Posted the best part of football, we get to settle it on the field. And they did. Head-to-head matters. Let's go. You see, Team A's the winner there. It's not even close. But you know what? According to Pete Bevacqua, or whatever the hell his name is, that's his name from now on. Pete Bevacqua, or whatever the hell his name is. It's one long sentence. He got up there bitching, whining, moaning, and embarrassing Notre Dame alums all across the world by bitching, whining, and moaning. But that's what Notre Dame is, and really that's what Notre Dame understands. They've always been that way. Always. Head-to-head should matter, should it not? I don't know. Maybe not. I think Notre Dame should have been in, but I don't think it's over Miami, and I certainly don't think it's a conference's fault. They signed up for it, which nobody should have, to let James Madison and Tulane in. There's no chance they should be in. But Notre Dame bitching, whining, and moaning is not only the administration, the players quit like dogs, and mommies and daddies, well, they followed suit. I told Carr's mom, there's nothing good comes from you being on Twitter. I've said that to Indiana basketball players, mommies and daddies, for years. Nothing good comes from mommies and daddies of players being on Twitter. And of course Notre Dame's not going to listen to any of these people. Players transfer. Players are like 1 year and out. Hell, the backup quarterback quit yesterday. And you know what they say? Go be great. Yeah, go be great. Anyway, truth of the matter is this. Notre Dame showed its ass yesterday. And Pete Bevacqua, whatever the hell his name is, was the leader. But where was Marcus Freeman? I know, he's pensive. I know, he's thoughtful. Yeah, he is. Or maybe he's not equipped to handle that kind of heat. I don't know. But Notre Dame, keep being you, baby. Next year, revenge tour. You're going to gut Rice. You'll get the Owls. All right, hey, make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@don'tatme to like, comment, and subscribe. You'll never miss any of our great content. And feel free to argue with each other as well. We'll be on a live show tomorrow night. We love the live show. We love arguing, bitching, whining, and moaning. All right, I'm here in Indy, and I'm sad for a couple of reasons. I had a great parlay that was going well for a while. Fernando Mendoza to win the Heisman, Daniel Jones to win the MVP. $50 was paying me $30,000. Mendoza's going to win it, and I paired him with everybody else in football, so we're going to win a little money. But the tables have turned on the Colts. Colts are trending in the wrong direction, and you're not going to believe what direction they're eventually going to head. Ever since the Colts made the blockbuster deal for Sauce Gardner, the team has begun to free fall, and the hopes and dreams of all Colts fans now reside in the hands of Phillip Rivers. Says here Anthony Richardson. No. Phillip Rivers. Let me explain. Phillip Rivers is allegedly working out for the Colts today. Phillip Rivers and Shane Steichen have a close relationship. Anthony Richardson, that's next year. This year's going to be saved by apparently Phillip Rivers. This is reminiscent of Jeff Saturday. This is reminiscent of Jeff Saturday coming off from being a mouth on ESPN to being brought from the mouth of ESPN to the sidelines of the Colts, where all he did was talk about himself and tank the entire season. This has those kind of vibes. Armando says this, though, about Richardson. You'll recall the Colts officially signed Jones in the 2025 offseason with the expectations that he would merely compete with Richardson. Then he not only beat out Richardson, but made general manager Ballard, Steichen look like geniuses when he played like an MVP candidate early in the season. The Colts were the top-seeded AFC team. Smart people had their doubts. But the Colts convinced themselves they were Super Bowl contenders. They pushed all their chips to the center of the table, traded away 2 first-round picks, top pick in 2026 and 2027 to the Jets. Sauce Gardner came in. So now the Colts don't have Jones, don't have a proven backup, don't have picks to select quarterback next year, and haven't had Gardner lately, and don't have Jones signed for 2026 anyway. All right? Here you go. The rap sheet. He brought the Colts back is what he did. He was a brave NFL quarterback. And in this house, Daniel Jones is a hero. End of story. I tell you this, Daniel Jones is playing on a broken leg. He is a hero. He played on a broken leg. He's the anti-Notre Dame player. He played on a broken leg and then tore his Achilles. Man, talk about your bad luck. Anyway, will Chris Ballard survive? Don't know. This season is deja vu so badly. Hot start, insane collapse. Offensive mastermind play caller that turns into a pumpkin. It's Frank Reich 2.0, yet Chris Ballard still survives it all. Look, I knew Ballard was a fraud 8 years ago. I did, and I've been very vocal about it. Even our guys on Hot Mic, no. I know a fraud in sports when I see a fraud. Notre Dame, fraud. Chris Ballard, fraud. No, I do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just do. You can get mad, glad, angry, or sad at it, but I just do. What can I tell you? Look, Chris Ballard, when he came in and Ryan Grigson left, toughness walked out the door. And that's just not me talking. That's veteran NFL analyst, defensive coordinator for 35 years, and Colts radio analyst Rick Venturi saying that exact thing. Everybody knew. Everybody knew except the fawning media. I remember talking to Stacey Dales. I don't care. I love Chris Ballard. Yeah, great. Okay, good. His record sucks. Nice guy, family guy, all that kind of stuff. Record sucks. Arrogant as hell. Horrible drafter. And because toughness went out the window, the Colts have collapsed in the last 3 years when the opportunity arose to just win one game, and you'll make the playoffs. They never won that game. Now, with the drafting of Richardson and him being oft injured, including hurting himself stretching, if you can believe it, and Daniel Jones being hurt, Riley Leonard's the guy. Or maybe it's Phillip Rivers. 44 years old and a grandfather. I tell you one thing about them Rivers, they'll have the sex. I mean, the dude's 44 and he's a grandfather. That means his kids like the same thing that mommy and daddy like. Anyway, long story short, and by the way, I know they're Catholic, so they don't wear condoms, apparently, but what are we doing? Anyway, how do we get along? How great is this show, by the way? I'm looking at Sean. He's laughing his ass off over there. How great is this show? Where else do you say the truth like this? It's true. Rivers has talked about, we're Catholic, I don't know. That's what we do. What are you going to do? Anyway, Jacksonville coach Liam Cohen, who just beat the Colts this weekend, believes his team gets no respect. We don't get no respect. You're in Jacksonville. Fans don't even come to games. Did you see the crowd the other day? What was that goofy thing? Duval. What? But a guy can coach, apparently. I don't know if we'll ever really get respect. That's the beauty of it. It ain't coming. You know that. It's not. And that's the beauty of it, and that's totally fine. Apparently it's not because you're bitching, whining, and moaning. Somebody looked this up. Did Liam Cohen go to Notre Dame with all this whining? I think he did. Shots fired. How about this? New Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding didn't hold back when asked about his general reaction to being named the next Rebels head coach following Lane Kiffin's departure. Here's Golding. Be careful, son. Be careful. Here he is.
I mean, what was the immediate reaction for you
when
you got the news?
The immediate reaction was I got my ass up out of my seat, went straight out the door to try to recruit offensive staff not to get on an airplane. That was my immediate reaction. So I couldn't tell you the years, the money, and I still can't, right? Does that make sense, right? So it's like, hey, man, I got a lot invested in this just like these players do at this point, right? Let's try to keep as much in the boat as we can, and then go find some other ones to put in if we need it, right, to go make a run. So it probably still hasn't set in, and I don't want it to set in. That's my point to the players. I'm not looking at my responsibility any different than it was when we went to game one right now. Right? Does it have a different role in front of more people in certain times in team meetings and all those type of things? Absolutely. All right. But as far as what my responsibility is this team to get guys prepared, and went from one side of the ball to an entire group. All right. But kids are kids, right? And the room got a little bigger, but nothing else changed. I'm not changing who I am. Right. I ain't changing what the hell I wear. I'm going to yoga. I'm playing pick. I ain't doing any of that shit. Like, I am who I am. All right, we're going to roll. We're going to do this thing the right way. I've done it a long time around a lot of good people, right? And we're going to give it our best shot and see what happens.
He has no shot. No shot. That's like watching Charlie Weiss's press conference at a Toledo Dick's going to my wife, no shot. Watching that, too many eyes, me, I, no shot. Just mark my words. Get mad, glad, angry, or sad. No shot. One thing we know about Goldring, this is Mark Harris, outside the fact he has huge shoes to fill, but from Lane Kiffin, is that he's 100% authentically himself. He assured everybody of that while speaking with the media. You just saw it. After his playoff presser, it's not hard to see why the majority of players were thrilled when athletic director Keith Carter announced he would be taking over the program. Yeah, good. No shot. Zero shot. None. Less than none. There are two games that you should bet the farm on. One of them in this bowl season, one of them is against him. The other, oh man, Louisville, Toledo. Whatever the line is, take Louisville against Toledo in the bowl season. Now, I'm on an incredible cold streak right now. I mean the kind of cold streak that if I had bet against myself, I wouldn't work anymore. I'd be private jetting to the Rose Bowl coming up. That's how cold I am right now. But I'm going to get fat, P-H-A-T, boys and girls, because that dude ain't winning squat. I mean, ass will be kicked. And Louisville, I don't care what the line is. I'm going to look it up for you right now. It don't matter to me. Ole Miss is given 17. They'll beat Tulane. Hell, we could beat Tulane. Tulane got a mess. I mean, who cares? They'll win that one, and then the ass kickings will come off early and often. Where the hell is this Toledo line? I don't know, but I know this. I'm betting the living dog. I mean the living dog out of Louisville. 8.5, stealing. And put Louisville in every one of your parlays. All right, when we come back, national champion coach Gene Chizik next. Dude won a national championship, and now he's great on TV. The coach, Gene Chizik, joins us. Notre Dame out, Notre Dame whining. I grew up an hour away from there. Catholic kid, Catholic school. Notre Dame's full of shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. What were your thoughts when Notre Dame got left out and the subsequent whining, Coach?
Dan, it's simple. Join a conference full-time, not half-time, right? No, it's a really interesting dynamic. You know, when the AD of Notre Dame gets on national TV and says and uses the word permanent damage, that raises some eyebrows, right? I mean, you know, it's very interesting, Dan. I look back, if you go back to COVID, and I'll use that as the example, when Notre Dame needed a schedule, the ACC opened them, welcomed them with open arms, gave them a schedule. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, I think they played in the championship game that year. It's been a good partnership. Now, let's be honest. Notre Dame loves the fact that their independence creates, monetary value. It gives them the freedom to schedule who they want to schedule. But you can't have it both ways when things don't go well, right? I mean, the bottom line is you can argue whether they were good enough to be in the college football playoff or not. There's a lot of ways you can go with that, especially if you're looking at Tulane and James Madison being in there, which is a whole different discussion. But the bottom line is they got left out, and then Notre Dame got their feelings hurt because the ACC kind of promoted Miami. Obviously, the ACC has to answer for some things to Notre Dame because Notre Dame is a valuable asset in the 5 games that they do have every year in the ACC. And I can speak for that in person. When I was at North Carolina with Mac Brown in 2022, man, there's a huge buzz when Notre Dame comes to town. I mean, the brand is the brand, right? But let's not get this twisted. The brand is not bigger than the SEC brand. The brand is not bigger than the Big Ten brand. And so when you're not in a conference, this is some of the collateral damage that can happen. So, it was strong words by the AD. I understand Notre Dame being upset because you could go either way on whether they should have been in, Miami should have been in, Alabama should have been in. That would be the national, debate. But the fact that Notre Dame didn't get in, you got to get in a conference if you want that. You can't have your cake and eat it too when it's convenient. But then when it's not convenient, it was kind of petulant in some ways. I felt like, the way they handled it publicly.
How did, in your opinion, I've been involved in this. We were lobbying to get in the NCAA tournament, and I ripped our commissioner privately because we had won the league, won 6 in a row, and I felt like they lumped us in. But that's at the mid-major level. That's different. How would a major conference like the ACC, where everything's so public, how would they lobby for Miami and not Notre Dame specifically? What's the dynamic there? I really didn't understand all that, how Jim Phillips and them supposedly didn't support Notre Dame. Is it because they did support Miami?
Dan, I'm with you. It's somewhat of an enigma to me. Now, one of the things, and I didn't follow this, I didn't keep it up, but what I've read or heard is that the AC on the ACC network, they played the repeat of the Miami Notre Dame game from, week 1. In that sense, you could say they're promoting Miami, which would be wise to think that, right? But I don't know that they were trying to demote the idea of Notre Dame. Look, let's be honest. Both of them were literally on the brink. This would be a different discussion if, Miami wasn't, even in the mix for this and they were doing something to hurt Notre Dame's chances to get in. But I mean, it's simple math. We're not splitting atoms here. You got two teams, Miami and Notre Dame, on the brink of getting in or not getting in the playoff. If you are Jim Phillips and you are the ACC, which one do you want in? Don't you want the one in that is in your conference, in every sport, including football? So that, to me, it's not rocket science. So if there was an edge either way, because what the ACC couldn't do is get nobody in, right? Nobody in. So them pushing Miami, whatever the metrics were, whatever that looked like on how they did that, it would make perfect sense. Not that they were trying to not get Notre Dame in, but they're trying to do and parlay whatever they can into some momentum to get their team in. So I'm with you. I don't really understand the sense of they did us wrong because they didn't really promote us getting in. They promoted the team that's in their league to get in. Not hard to understand to me.
So let me move it forward a little bit, Coach. Does this, Notre Dame fans are couching this like we're standing up for good versus evil. I mean, I caught hell yesterday from the quarterback's mom, the defensive linebacker who went to my high school, his dad, blogger boys and their big old girlfriends. I mean, honest to God. But they're acting like this is, we're good. We're standing up to the evil empire of committees, but Notre Dame signed up for this, didn't they? So what do you see happening on the other end here? Because they quit or they're bitching, whining, and moaning. What happens to all this?
I don't have the answer to that, Dan. I mean, look, beat Texas A&M, beat Texas A&M. I don't know.
Right.
So let's be honest. When you look at this, and you can argue either way, you can put an argument out there for everybody because everybody can cherry pick metrics to decide whether somebody gets in or doesn't get in and things of all that nature. Notre Dame had an incredible run. And look, I think Notre Dame was one of the best 12 in the country? 100%. There's two right now. I mean, I love James Madison. James Madison lost to an 8-4 Louisville. They're 12-1.
Right.
So, until everybody gets a trophy, right? Everybody gets a seat at the table till So, but that's a whole nother discussion. Do I think Notre Dame is one of the 12 best in the country? Yes, I do. By the way they were playing at the end of the season. But let's be honest. Your best win is what, Dan? USC? Wouldn't it be a 9-3 USC? I mean, you could argue that's their best win, right? And you can say, but their losses are great. But okay, what are their great wins? Well, if you play in the Big Ten, that means you probably had to have beaten, I don't know, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, somebody. If you play in the SEC, you're going to have a big win somewhere down the road. But their biggest win is USC. And let me tell you this. They ran the table 10 straight. That is so hard to do. I think Marcus Freeman is a stud. I think he is a great football coach. Not a good one. I think he's a great one. I think he's a great leader of men. But they ran the table for 10 straight weeks when they were just getting berated for their first two. They started out 0-2. But if you take those 10 games that they've won, I want to say this. I could be off, but I did something on this a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think it changed. Out of their 10 wins, 4 of those 10 teams had winning seasons, winning records. 4. So you got to ask yourself to get in, who did they really, really beat? Yeah, you can say Jeremiah Love's a stud. C.J. Carr was playing great at the end of the year. They ran the table 10 straight. But who did they really, really beat to really strengthen their argument that we're one of the best 10, best 12 teams in the country? And Dan, everybody says, well, they pass the eye test. I'm still confused on the committee on what the eye test is. What does that mean? That all you people in there watch, when they say we watch the film, there's only like 4 coaches on the committee or however many there are. The other people are watching film. Do they even know what they're watching on the film? Like, what is the eye test? I don't know. But if you say Notre Dame passes the eye test, okay, I'm with you. I'm not even sure what that means. But they did win 10 straight. And, look, not being in a conference at the end of the day, that was the turning point.
The fascinating thing about that, I had an AD, and you probably did too. Like, if an AD would sit down that thinks he knows football and sit down with you and, you watch your team or you watch a game and you really did what coaches do, that AD would walk out of there going, I don't know anything about football. I thought I knew football, but the coach watching film, I did that with my AD one time. He wanted to watch. I go, all right, holy shit. That's what I'm, to your point about coaches in there and watching film, you got to know what the hell you're watching.
Right. I mean, Dan, think about this. AD, you got people on the committee that have never even watched film. They don't even know what that is. And then they're going to talk the eye test. What does that mean? That you heard the commentators on TV saying something great about Johnny or Freddie and look, their offensive line looks big? I don't know. The eye test to me is when I watch a film and say, you know what? Georgia, Indiana physically dominated the people they just played on. You know what? They were just knocking people off the ball on double teams. Man, those receivers down the field had nowhere to go. There was no separation on the receivers. That's the eye test to me. Does everybody have the ability to do that? No, and I wouldn't think they would because they haven't done it for a living. So I'm not sure what the eye test is. But a lot of people say Notre Dame should have got in because of the eye test. Hey, maybe they should have. I still think they're a good football team. Were they worthy of the top 12? Yes. The circumstances dictated otherwise.
Is it a big deal or no deal? Guys like me making too much of it because I like to get these folks riled up from my hometown. But is it a big deal that they didn't play, they opted out of a bowl? Is that any kind of deal?
I'm a traditionalist, Dan. I sit there and I listen to Clark Lee. I'll give you that as an example. Now, look, this is a 10-2 Vanderbilt team that's historic. I mean, they beat their rival Tennessee, by, I don't know, close to 3 touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't even a fair fight. And, their losses were to Alabama, which, Alabama time was playing extremely good football. And they lost to Texas, right? 2 highly ranked and highly considered teams. And you know what Clark Lee says? They were sitting on the outside wanting to get in. Now, it was a long shot, and we know that. But you know what Clark Lee says? He says, you know what? I want this team to stay together. It's a special team. I want to go play one more game with these dudes. I'm a traditionalist, Dan. I love the bowl games. Do I think it's maybe a fading or a ever-changing environment on what those look like when you're outside the top 12? Yeah, I do, and it kind of makes me sad. But when I see Texas and Michigan saying, let's go, man, tape your ankles, let's go play in the Citrus Bowl, I love that, right? When I see BYU got to the Big 12 championship game. They didn't get in the college football playoff. They're saying, hey, man, let's tape our ankles, let's strap it up, and let's go play again. I love that way of thinking. Do I see this from Notre Dame as a retaliatory act? I do, because the circumstances don't dictate that they just take their bat and ball and go home. It's another opportunity for your guys to compete. It's another opportunity for your guys to play. It's another opportunity for you to get out there and say, you know what? Y'all made a mistake, because whoever we play in this bowl game, we're going to beat them by 4 touchdowns. Those are the things that resonate with me. I don't necessarily subscribe to the theory of, you didn't let us in. Okay, well, we're not going to play anymore. So there's teams that opted out of bowl games for reasons that actually make sense. They got an invite. They didn't take it. Not saying that I agree with that. Would I have done that? But it actually makes sense. Change of coaching staff. 2 weeks ago, we didn't think we were in a bowl game, but now our players have scattered. You're inviting us to bowl game. We can't get them back together. Everybody's made plans. There's circumstances out there that would make you say, no, thank you. This, to me, is not one of them.
How does the NIL work with this? Like, Coach, couple things. I refuse to believe that as big as Notre Dame's brand is, and as many kids are there for 1 year, transfer, I refuse to believe that this was a player vote. There's no way this administration allowed the players, who are half are going to be gone anyway, held on to their brand and decided not to play. How does it work with NIL? You're now paid to play. You can't opt out if you're running a regular job. Do they get, do kids have bowl bonuses that the university says we're going to pay? How does that all work?
Well, as recent as 2 years ago when I was in it, no, that was not the case. We had a couple of opt-outs in our bowl game. My first year in North Carolina, we played in the ACC championship game, and then we went out to Oregon and we played out there, and all of our team was intact. Everybody chose to play. But, it's not just the NIL stuff. It's the transfer portal idea that's mixed in there with that. Now, back in that time, guys were entering into the transfer portal, before the bowl game, and then you had to decide, look, do we let him play in the bowl game? He's transferring, things of that nature. But I think, with the NIL, no, I don't think. I mean, there's players that can opt out of it left and right, and I think that that's going to be a huge point of discussion moving forward with some of these NIL contracts. Are you finishing out the year including the bowl game? Do I think that's universal across the board now? No, I don't think that. But I do think that it's going to eventually get to that. Look, dude, I'm going to pay you $1.3 million to rush the passer or protect the passer, and we're going to play Michigan in the Citrus Bowl for game number 13. I want you in game number 13. I'm paying you to play in game number 13. So I don't think that's in play right now. I don't think that's universal across the board, but I certainly think that those discussions have happened and are happening to get these guys to be able to complete the season that they signed up for.
Coach, it is amazing. Like, all right, who's best? Let's go on to the football field. Who's the best team in the country right now, your opinion?
Well, I'm going to say there's two, and I know you want to nail me to one, but I literally can't separate the two.
No.
Can't separate the two. I am so impressed with Indiana. I mean, I watched them the entire game the other night. So it's the first time I've watched Indiana the entire game, front to back, beginning to end. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Red zone defense. I don't care what game you put on. Go to the NFL next Sunday and what I'm saying. When teams get down inside the 5-yard line, low red zone, play action pass, there will be a tight end or a running back running wide open somewhere in the back of the end zone on play action pass throughout the league, NFL, college. Ohio State got down there several times. They did all the eye candy play actions, all the things. There's nowhere to go with the football. This is one of the most disciplined football teams, blocking and tackling. That's where I was impressed. The reason I throw Georgia in there is because I think Georgia's playing the best football of the year, and they do the exact same thing. They're physical. You don't see guys running wide open offensively. Defensively on their defense. You don't see that at Indiana. Guys do their jobs. You see guys that have jobs to do. Guys' eyes are in the right spots. They're doing the right things. Nobody gets fooled. Everybody, if there's a 50-50 ball, their guys are going to be in the mix to get that ball, and he's going to come down with that ball. But it's disciplined, physical football. Both sides of the ball. They protect the ball. They don't turn the ball over. They're physical at the point of attack. And you know what? They win games the way they want to win games. Physical defense, run the football, don't give up explosive plays, don't turn the ball over, protect it, and win time of possession. Indiana and Georgia, to me, are playing the best football of anybody in the country right now for the things that I just said. And that's how I look at teams. Do they look physical? Check. Are they disciplined? Check. Do they have a quarterback? Check. I mean, Mendoza, that hit he took on play 2?
Oof.
1 or 2, I don't remember what it was. And dude got up off the mat. He's back in there. And you ain't getting that guy down. I'm just so impressed with him as a young man. Those to me are the 2 best teams. And actually we had a show the other night on the SEC network, and that's who I picked to be in the national championship. Because right now I think they're the 2 best teams in college football.
I was at the game being, a coach that played there 17 years at Indiana. And when he went down, man, it was like, oh, no, we can't. And then he gets up and he was stellar. All right, I got to ask you before I let you go. Indiana's going to play winner Alabama, Oklahoma, Rose Bowl. Who wins that game? What do you see?
It's going to be an interesting one. I think Alabama has a chance to heal. Alabama went into the SEC championship really banged up. They didn't have their tight end, Cuevas, who is a very physical player for them. LT Overton as a defensive lineman, they didn't have him. Jam Miller, their tailback, they didn't have him. They were beat up. This is a team that limped into the SEC championship, which is the residual effect of playing. I always look, people talk about why is the SEC so tough? People can play a team in the SEC one game and beat them. It's the cumulative effect that the league has on your body by the end of the year. And that happened to Alabama going into the Georgia game. Georgia was beat up too, but Alabama was more beat up than Georgia was. I think Alabama's going to have some dudes back. I think Alabama can go back and look and cherry pick from the game they played earlier with Oklahoma, where Oklahoma beat them in Tuscaloosa, and cherry pick some things that they can improve on and get better. It's going to be a great game at OU. It'll be interesting, but I think in the end, Alabama is going to find a way to win the game. I know that's probably contrary to what a lot of people think right now, because Alabama played great football in the last several weeks, but they've won. For the most part. But this is going to be a healthy team. It's going to be a team that's playing somebody for the second time. And Dan, whether it's in basketball, football, or ping pong, beating somebody that's really, really good twice, that's a tough out, even though they're playing in Norman. But I think Alabama is going to have some juice. I think they're going to have some guys back, and they're going to be motivated. So I think you're going to see a team right now that's going to play this game against OU with a personal kind of a mentality. Some games are personal, some are not. I think this one will be a personal one for Alabama.
I'm looking forward to it. I never thought I'd say this, but my family, we're going to the Rose Bowl to watch Indiana University, our alma mater, play. I can't even believe I'm saying that, Coach, given so thank you so much for coming on. Always fantastic. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Coach.
Dan, thanks for having me on, man. Y'all have a great day.
You too. There he goes, national champion 2010, Coach Gene Chizik. I'm spending more money than I have to go take my family out there because I don't know, maybe it's going to happen every year. Sure doesn't seem like it, though. Anyway, we'll be right back. We got some stock up, stock down, some hot seat. Let's go. We literally have the best guests, and I thank everybody that's on our team. I probably don't thank them enough, but man, oh man. All right, let's do it. Stock up, stock down. I got to put my glasses on this right now. Hey, Sean, you and Davey, please feel free. Indiana football, stock up. Look, since 1945, that's a last solo Big Ten football championship. 1967, last Rose Bowl appearance. But I got to tell you, that's simply because, well, they got picked because they hadn't gone in the longest time. Indiana football is rolling. Indiana football, as Coach Chizik just said, is a damn good team. And Urban Meyer, the legendary coach, friend of the program, said, you know what? Indiana football, the job Curt Cignetti's done, is the best in the history of our sport. Pretty damn good. Cody Campbell is a Texas billionaire. He gets an ROI with the Red Raiders winning their first Big 12 championship. Somebody tell me, what the hell's an ROI? What the hell's an ROI? Anybody know?
Dan,
a little help out here?
That's return on investment.
Oh, baby. Yeah, he got. Wait, how? What was his return? He gave, I don't know, he probably got a tax break.
He bought the entire team.
But and they're pretty damn good. Davey, let me ask you a question. If you were I'm going to be in Naples. If you were in Naples and the Orange Bowl's like an hour away, would you go see Texas Tech against James Madison?
Probably not. I mean, listen.
Would you?
I mean, is the ticket free? I'm not paying money to go see that.
No. I know. I'm not either. Thank God. Thank God we got the Rose Bowl. NFL division races. Man, how about the Packers? Packers knocked off the Bears. They took the NFC North lead. The Steelers, man, oh man, they beat the Ravens. I thought the Ravens were supposed to be back. They are not. The Steelers led by Aaron Rodgers leading the AFC North. And, oh, boy, stock up to the Jags. They beat my Colts. They moved in the first place. Stock down. Colts, season in jeopardy. Daniel Jones injury. We're bringing Phillip Rivers. That's right. Grandpa, get him a walker. Get his ass out there, and let's play some damn football. Purdue basketball. Look, it's basketball. It's long. No undefeated team since 1976. But I got to tell you, we're sitting there watching it, and I like Purdue. I do. I like Braden Smith. I like Matt Painter, assistant coaches. I've known them my whole life. But, man, was that a performance by Iowa State? I'll go stock up Iowa State basketball going into Mackey Arena. They got some Serbian kid that my wife looked on TV. She didn't know he was Serbian. She goes, that kid's Serbian? I said, yeah. Goes, he's got your face, the Serbian face. All I know is Iowa State, they just kept making threes and twos and buckets. And, well, the future of the college bowl season is up in arms. Look, I think they should add bowls. You know the Seinfeld episode? Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry opened a spite store. I think out of spite, they ought to have more bowls. They ought to have the Bloomington Bowl, the Dan Dakich Bowl, the Outkick Bowl. Let's go. Let's bowl it up. Out of pure, unadulterated spite. All right, let's do it. We got a hot seat. Who the hell's on the hot seat and who the hell's reading these things? Let's go. I don't like the picture. I'm sorry. I look like a damn monk that has shoulders up to here. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at that picture, and I'm thinking, shit. It's accurate. Who's on the hot seat, Davey? Who's on the hot seat?
Dan, first up, we have Chris Ballard going into what be year 9 with 1 playoff win, 0 titles. Things were looking good earlier. Does not seem to be the case at the moment.
Davey, we're in year 9 with no division titles. We're under 500 with Chris Ballard. We have 1 playoff win, and nobody in the history of football, and I really believe this, has messed up the quarterback position more than Chris Ballard. Teams in this period of time, like the Titans, have been bad, got good, and went back bad while the Colts stayed bad. The Jaguars, bad, now they're good, and Indianapolis has never done anything under this regime. Yes, he's on the hot seat. Yes, if they don't make the playoffs, and this is from a Colts executive, they got to have some juice to this. They can't limp in 9-8, losing the first round, and Ballard keeps his job. Very, very hot seat, Davey. Not warm, not toasty, on effing fire. 9 years. You know, Davey, this is a true story. Year 4. I said, what is this? A 10-year plan? I was joking. Totally joking.
You're right.
We're in year 9. No division titles. No home playoff games. Nothing. Nobody has screwed, not even a quarterback. I get Andrew Luck retired, but you know what? Russell Wilson left the Seahawks. They brought in eventually Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. They're fine. Teams lose quarterbacks. Nobody has screwed this up more than Chris Ballard. If they don't get this done, not only in the playoffs, but win a game, he gone.
Yeah, Chris Ballard needs to give a TED Talk on how to keep a job whenever you're underperforming. Also, Dan, you mentioned Phillip Rivers earlier. His oldest child is older than Riley Leonard.
I know. I said that earlier. You guys laughed. Rivers is just have sex. I got a buddy. He said, look, my last name's Custer. We have sex. It's what we do. If it's a Custer, it screws. If it's a Rivers, it screws. I hate to say it that way, but let's be honest. We speak honest here. Next.
Speaking of screwed, Dan, I say the Kentucky fans feel that way about Mark Pope right now. Year 2 with him at the helm of the Kentucky Wildcats. They are 5-4 early into this season. Cannot beat a ranked opponent. Got absolutely dominated here in Nashville last Friday night by Gonzaga, 94-59.
You know what? The booze. How about the booze? The booze were deafening. The Blue Mist came into Nashville, as you well know, Davey, being there. That's a big-time deal. That's like a big home game for Kentucky. People come into Nash Vegas. They have a great time. They can't wait to see their Cats. Gonzaga was coming off, Davey. They were coming off a 40-point ass-kicking by Michigan. So, I saw a thing the other day. At this point, Mark Pope's record is the same as John Calipari's. So I guess that appeases people a little bit. But, Davey, I watched some of that. And the one thing that I would say about Kentucky is the players. I know people get on the coaches, but the players, they have to figure out they're playing for the front of that uniform, because that group looked to me like a group that were of mercenaries that were just paid to come in and play at Kentucky, not for Kentucky. And Davey, that's got to change. And a coach can do that, no question. Assistant, everybody's got to get. But boy, oh boy, that's on the players. And I don't mind the fact I like DeMarcus Cousins saying that team has no heart. I've been saying that about my guys at Indiana for years. I like when former players care enough to rip the team when necessary. I like it better praising, don't get me wrong, but I like what Cousins did, Davey.
Yeah, I hope it continues to crash and burn. You talk about BBN and their ability to travel. I will give Big Blue Nation credit. They are great at traveling, but as we've always said, it's a lot easier to travel when you live in a mobile home. So, next up, Dan, it's your bank account. The trip to L.A. for the Rose Bowl. Chuck was actually asking me, because he's been scoping out tickets. How are you willing to say how much you spent on 6 tickets, Dan?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. $823 a piece, just off the 50-yard line, behind Indiana's bench. Yeah, I'll tell everybody. I'll tell you everything that I paid. I'm paying for 5. I told my wife, me obviously, my daughter, my stepdaughter, and my stepson. I'll pay for those 5 because my wife talked me into it. But I ain't paying for no damn boyfriend. You understand me? My stepdaughter has a boyfriend that we really like. I'm like, yo, I'll pay the lodging, but you all got jobs. So you, boyfriend, because, hey, you know what, Davey? You know this. a boyfriend, even though they've been dating a long time, his ass may be gone in a week. I ain't paying for the ticket. I ain't paying for the travel for the boyfriend. But, yeah, $823. I got 6 in a row together. And, and that doesn't – I'm paying for flights, too, for 5. And we are all night last night and this morning looking at lodging. Hopefully it's an Airbnb. Hopefully I don't have to pay for 2 or 3 hotel rooms. So, look, I'm dipping into the retirement account. I don't give a shit. Once in a lifetime, I'm doing it. Hope Aaron and Gary are okay with it. If not, there'll be somebody new in this host chair because I'm going.
I feel you, Dan. The most, I guess, or the in terms of the girls I've dated, the most a father of her has ever done for me is at least got my meal one time. So it's like I totally understand you not wanting to pay like over $800 for his ticket. So I'm with you there, man.
Nope.
But hey, Chuck also told me, this is just to go back, 1968 last time Indiana was in the Rose Bowl. Do you know how much tickets were going for then?
I think I saw something. It was like $5. Is that right? I thought I saw that.
I think it was between 10 and 12. So
okay,
yeah.
All right. I'm looking right now. I had saved something about that. You know who beat Indiana in the Rose Bowl, right?
It was USC, right?
You know who was their star?
Would that have been OJ?
Yeah, OJ
Okay.
kicked their ass. Yeah. I have a dad of a friend of mine who knocked OJ dead on his ass, and he told me, he goes, man, it hurt. God, did it hurt tackling OJ. So, yeah, 1954 is the last, or 45, excuse me, is the last time Indiana. You know what?
OJ, he was a killer
I
on
don't
and off
know.
the field, man.
Damn right he is. Let's go, Davey. Yeah, my bank account is taking a hit. But you know what? I did go into the retirement account.